Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is going to be a different type of video because I am going to be reviewing the new episode of Girl Meets World, Season 3, Episode 19, World Meets Girl. However, this is going to be a bit of a different review than the other reviews have been because we have a lot to talk about. It's been quite a while since I last talked about Girl Meets World, the beginning of December of last year, and some big changes have happened since then, definitely, and we're definitely going to get into all of that. But first, let's talk about this episode because I was really curious about this episode. I had no idea what it was going to be. There wasn't any sort of promotion. There wasn't any sort of, preview or anything. I had no idea what this was really going to be. And I think it was a good interactive episode. They did a good job with showing, the fan service and showing how many people love this show and the impact it's had on them and the life lessons and things like that, how it actually has helped people in their daily lives. I thought they did a really good job with that. I will admit a lot of it seemed very, very scripted and quite phoned in, especially when it came to the questions. I'm pretty sure the answers that Sabrina, Rowan, Peyton, Corey, Ben, and Danielle gave, all the whole cast, that all of them gave, while they were good answers, they seemed very, very scripted to me. It seems like this was kind of like the safe answer. This is what, they were told to say rather than what they actually wanted to say. And that part did definitely seem quite scripted to me. I think they could have done a little bit more, showing the fan impact, definitely. Like, they did a good job with it, but I felt like they focused a little too much on the audience and not enough on the fan impact, and I thought overall it was well done, though. I liked the bloopers. They were supposed to have deleted scenes, but I guess they cut them out. I really did love, I'd say, the last, 8 minutes of this episode, because I really liked when Rowan and Sabrina came out, and they had all these different friends go to the bay window, showing how much of a safe place it was for them. I thought that was really well done. And then my favorite part by far was the very end, where we saw Rowan and Sabrina not talking as Riley and Maya at the same space they always are at for their show, where they have all their emotional scenes together. However, they're not talking as Riley and Maya. They're talking as Sabrina and Rowan. The impact they've had, the friendship that they've made, and I just thought it was really an effective way to end the episode overall, just showing how close the cast is and everything. So it was really well done, definitely. I don't really have much to say about it, but if I were to rate this episode, I would give it a 3.5 out of 5 or a B. Very well done fan tribute overall. A little too long, I definitely will say. I think there definitely was some repetitive stuff in there, and they didn't need as much as they did, but it was the episode that people have been wanting for a while now. Disney Channel has never done an episode quite like this before, and I think it just shows how caring Michael Jacobs really is, and how they like to cater to audiences. They don't just do fan service type episodes. They don't just do stuff, because it's what fans want. They do this for the fans. This is something that the fans wanted. They know how big the fan base is for the show, and I thought overall that definitely was very well done. However, that's not what I'm here to talk to you guys about. As much as I did really like World Meets Girl, we have a much bigger problem to address because, of course, as we know, it has been very up in the air, the future of Girl Meets World. Since this season premiered, I feel like it's been very up in the air. It's been a lot more, I think, cutting edge. I think it's been a lot darker than previous seasons have been. It's gone into some very touchy subjects, and they really haven't been able to just, to just go all out. They haven't been able to do that because they've been on Disney Channel. They've always had that restriction. And I feel like seasons 1 and 2, it worked because they were in middle school and there's not as many complications as you face when you're in high school. But now that they are in high school, that's, as we know, when Boy Meets World started to turn from a kid's show to a much bigger adult show. Now, I would never say Boy Meets World is a kid's show. I wouldn't say Girl Meets World is a kid's show. I'd say it's a show for people who start off as, immature and grow to be much more mature as they go on. That's what I feel these shows are made for. And of course, I thought that the right move would be to move the show to Freeform, because wouldn't it make sense? I mean, Girl Meets World is supposed to be a show that evolves, and, as people get older, there's going to be more life lessons to talk about, such as smoking, sex, sexual identity. Hell, Rowan Blanchard wanted to do an episode about sexual identity, about Riley kind of being confused about her identity. How incredible of an episode would have been, honestly. And the show's hinted at it before, that Riley might have a bond that's not just best friends, and you never know really what the show could have done with that. But because it was on Disney Channel, they were never able to cross that line. That's not Girl Meets World's fault. It's because of the fucking 1 Million Moms campaign with a Good Luck Charlie episode back when they had that episode with the two moms. Ever since then, Disney Channel has never been able to talk about same-sex type relationships or anything like that, and I think it is a touchy subject that Girl Meets World should be willing to talk about, and I think Michael Jacobs was willing to, but again, there was always that line. They could never cross it. So like I said, I figured this was an obvious move. Move the show to Freeform. I feel like they have the audience. They have they have a cast that's clearly very willing to do it. They have a show that could easily evolve into something bigger. And unfortunately, it just seemed like it was a no-brainer, really. However, that's not at all what decided to happen, because I believe it was Wednesday or Tuesday, Disney decided that, no, we're not going to move the show to Freeform. We're just going to cancel the damn show for no reason whatsoever. And this very severely pissed me off, I have to say. And it's not, I think, their fault, really. This was a completely unavoidable situation, really. I mean, there really was nothing they could do about this, and I'm going to talk about why I think this happened. How did we get here? Why is this show canceled? What really got them to get canceled, really? Because, sure, you can make the argument that they have been not as good this season, but I would argue with that, definitely. In fact, I think the beginning of this season is some of the strongest stuff that this show has done. They went into some very touchy subjects like friendship and identity disorder, and just especially what they do with Farkle with that war episode. I mean, that is some of the deepest, darkest stuff I have ever seen on a Disney Channel show. By far the darkest stuff I have seen since a That's So Raven episode that had to deal with racism. I mean, that is when you know that they really were willing to talk about smart subjects. But of course, Disney Channel, being their corporate selfish self, doesn't care about life lessons. They just care about money. And this show clearly is not making them money anymore. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of saw this coming. And I'll tell you why I think this happened. I think the show has always been on the rise, on fall, basically. The rise was the beginning of the show, and it was really great. The second they introduced that love triangle, that's when I think the fan base for this show changed. It went from a bunch of people who used to watch Boy Meets World, as well as new kids who are watching Girl Meets World, who really do love the show and watch it for life lessons, and instead a show about ship war, basically. And I don't think the show turned into that. I think the fan base turned into that, and I think very much so because of the choices that were made in that Bay Window episode. That got people to stop watching, and that really, I think, was the last straw when it came to the Ski Lodge episode. Now, you guys know I don't watch the show for ships. I've said it a million times. I will ship what the show wants me to ship. For a while, I liked Maya and Lucas, but the show proved to me why they're not a good pairing and why they are just friends. And I believe it. I really think the show did an honestly great job with that. And I stick by that, honestly. I really think they did. But when it comes down to Ski Lodge, I mean, you guys have seen so many people have left the show because of it. There are still people who are campaigning for Maya and Lucas to get together, and it's ridiculous. It's not happening. It's not happening. I've said it before. If they have any sort of future, they're not going to dive into it in Season 3. Why? Because they're freshmen. They're still unsure of themselves. They're still learning about themselves. Maya may have feelings for Lucas down the line. Lucas may have feelings for Maya down the line. It's not forever. It doesn't mean that they're not going to get together at some point. They're just not getting together right now. And that's realistic. Honestly, the way that was done was very realistic. They've been building up Lucas and Riley for the entire show. It made sense why they would do that. And I think they've done a good job with telling that story. However, I think because of the fact that Michael Jacobs did what he wanted to do, which in my opinion is genius writing. I've said it before, the best writers don't cater to an audience, they cater to themselves. They write TV that they want to see, rather than TV they think the audience will want to see. And that's why we have geniuses such as Sam Esmail and Damian Lindelof, and Noah Hawley, incredible writers like that. Now, am I saying Michael Jacobs is on the caliber of The Leftovers or something like that? No, I'm not saying that, but I am saying he has a very similar type style where he writes he writes what he wants to see and where he thinks the show should go. And that's something I've always admired about Michael Jacobs. And the fact that he's come back for this show, I think is the reason why the show was as great as it really was. And I could go all out and just say how much I love this show and how important I think the show is for kids, but really, I mean, the smart thing to do would have been to move the show to Freeform. It just seems like I think the kids would have stuck with it. The audience that they had for Girl Meets World, they would have stuck with it at Freeform. They would have, it would have carried over, and they would have gotten more mature. They would have gotten into more rebellious states, and I think Girl Meets World would have helped them with that. And I really think they could have done a good job at making things a little bit more edgier, but still keeping it grounded. There was an easy way to cross that line without going full on. You don't have to go like full on hardcore. Boy Meets World never did that. Boy Meets World just got more mature and more adult because the characters grew more mature and more adult, and because they were on a network that was willing to cross that line, to delve into more mature storylines. Disney Channel never let them do that, and I've always thought the Girl Meets World was on the wrong channel. I always have. I've said this before, and I'm going to tell you guys this a million times. I hate Disney Channel. I really hate everything when it comes to Disney Channel. The way that they work, I think, is ridiculous. They clearly do not give a shit about their shows. They stretch every show out. You never know when their shows are on. Therefore, they never make any money, and that is their own fault that they do that. This is not a Girl Meets World problem. This is every Disney Channel show problem. Every show that they do, they always take these long hiatuses for no reason whatsoever. They just randomly are like, all right, we're not going to have episodes on now. Now we're going to put this show on, and no, we're going to replace the show at this time. No, we're going to move the show to this time. They have done this for years now, and that is the reason why Disney Channel is so bad. I hate the way that they market their shows. They market them as these ridiculous, dumb comedies that are just so unfunny and so unwatchable. And I think that's the main reason why Girl Meets World started to lose viewers. Because if you guys realize, after this, once Ski Lodge came, Disney Channel started shortening the promos, started shortening the promotion for the show, and focusing more on other shows, especially when Bizaardvark came, which a lot of people say is kind of like Girl Meets World if it wasn't a good show. And yeah, I mean, you have two girls who look very similar to Riley and Maya, and Best Friends Whenever is another great example of that. Those two girls look exactly like Riley and Maya, except it doesn't have the smart humor that Girl Meets World has. I tried to watch that show. It's shit. I can't stand Best Friends Whenever. I can't stand Bizaardvark. I can't stand a single damn Disney show that's not Girl Meets World because it doesn't have the smart humor. It doesn't have the life lessons. It doesn't understand kids like Girl Meets World does. And that's the reason why I've stuck with the show as long as I have, because it stayed grounded. It stayed very well aware of what it was trying to do. It never tried to venture into dumb territory, and that's why I love this show really as much as I do. And do I think that this season has been very directionless in the second half? Yes. I feel we haven't really had much of a story since Ski Lodge, but it's not exactly the writer's fault. I felt like they were very unsure with where to go with this because on one hand, they wanted to go into deeper storylines, I think. I think Michael Jacobs had an initial plan for this season. But on the other hand, I think they always had this fear that this could be our last season. So we really need to try to play it safe with what we really can show and not show. And I understand that, really. I mean, when you're put in a bind like that and you really don't know if this is going to be the last scene of your show or not, yeah, it is quite hard to write around that. And I think Michael Jacobs tried, and I think these last two episodes are going to be very satisfying, especially from that promo. I'm very convinced that we're going to get two very well done final episodes, but it really is unfortunate because I think Michael Jacobs really wanted to change the show, really wanted to evolve the show, really wanted to delve into deeper subjects, but unfortunately, he was on a network that was not willing to let him do that, and I don't know why Disney Channel would just, the offer to Freeform, I think, was still out there, but let's talk about the future of the show, because a lot of people really are interested in seeing really where we're going to go with this, so let's just delve right into it. But when it comes to the future of the show, I do still think that the move for Freeform is on the table. I think that the offer's going to be on the table for quite some time. I mean, Freeform, sure, they do have stuff like Pretty Little Liars and Shadowhunters and things like that. But, you know, they also have comedies like Baby Daddy and Young and Hungry. And am I saying the Girl Meets World is as edgy as those shows? I mean, I don't know. I haven't watched those shows in years. I don't think I've ever watched an episode of Young and Hungry. If you want to talk to someone about Young and Hungry, talk to 22 Tiger Dude, who I've had on this channel many times. He watches that show. Talk to him about it, because I'm not the one to talk to you about those shows. But when it comes down to Freeform, I do still think the move is there. I think that Rowan and Sabrina, they're not tired of the show. People have said, oh, they're tired of the show. No, what I think they're tired of is Disney Channel, because Disney Channel, I heard, constantly holds you back. They treat you like you're a child. They treat you like you haven't grown up, and that is why half of these Disney Channel stars turn into complete thoughts and things like that. That's why they start, doing all this edgier stuff. That's why Miley Cyrus has turned out the way she has. That's why Selena Gomez has. Am I saying that that it's all bad that that's what they're doing? No, they're maturing. They want to get older. They're stepping out of their comfort zone. And I think that's something that Rowan and Sabrina have very well shown they want to do, especially when it comes to Rowan. She's admitted who she is. She's admitted that she is in fact, not straight. She doesn't know exactly what her gender is, but she knows that she likes both guys and girls. She has admitted that. And then Sabrina, she really has matured in many ways, and you can see that I do still think that they do want to still do this show. The problem is there really a network for them? Is Freeform really the home for Girl Meets World? Will they still have that audience? I mean, I'm willing to bet that the audience will carry over, and that's what's going to happen, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm really not sure if that's going to happen. We'll have to see. Netflix, people have talked about it. I'm not sure if that's really the right thing for them. I really don't know. I mean, Netflix, I've said it before, the great thing about Netflix is that Netflix doesn't have any sort of restrictions and there's no rules. You kind of just do what you want to do with your show, and as long as Netflix adheres to it, they'll be completely fine with that. I mean, look at Fuller House. That's the great thing I think Fuller House have had. Now they're going from 13 to 18 episodes, and Netflix is completely okay with that because it's not their decision. It's the creator's decision. They are a media platform that is solely based on creative control for the creators of the show. They're not someone who tampers with networks. They do what the creators want to do with the show, and that's why I think Netflix has been as successful as they are. So I do still think that Netflix is there for them. I mean, the show's on Netflix. They do still have an audience there. A lot of people discovered this show through Netflix, so yeah, that offer I think is there too. But the other question is, I think it really comes down to how is this show going to end in season 3? Because if it ends the way I think it's going to, I'm not sure if we're really going to get to season 4. I'm not sure where they go after this, really. And I don't know really what's going to happen there. But it is very unfortunate that the show is canceled. It is too bad that we're not going to see more episodes of Girl Meets World on Disney Channel anymore. But I don't think this is the end. I do still think there's going to be things out there. I think there's going to be more time for this show, and I don't want to say this is the end of the show. I really don't see that scenario happening. I definitely think that at some point the show will come back. If we have Fuller House coming back, and we're at a time where Arrested Development can have another season. Hell, Will and Grace, the show that nobody wanted to continue, is having another season. I mean, that shows you how much fan base there are for these shows. And Girl Meets World, there especially is. I mean, there are dozens of petitions. Smurf Vlogs, I know that I've called you out before, but Smurf Vlogs, the one thing I will give him is that he has at least stuck with this show. Even though he hasn't really loved the writing, and he hasn't loved the direction the show has taken, he has at least stuck with the show because of the fact that he loves this show, and because of the fact that he wants to see more episodes, and he's stuck with that petition, and he's done everything in his power to make sure that Girl Meets World continues. And I'm sorry that I've called you out, man. I know that you've probably seen my videos, and you heard me take that jab at you one time, and that was me joking around. I will definitely admit that. I was joking around. Do I like Smurf Vlogs? I mean, I'm not gonna say, because I don't know if you watches my videos. I doubt he does. He's way too popular to watch my videos, but either way, guys, that's basically it for my thoughts on this cancellation. I will do a lot more videos about Girl Meets World coming soon. Next week is the second to last episode, and then once we get to the series finale, I will be doing not only a series finale review, but a review of the series overall. Why I think it was so great for kids, the impact I think it's had on everyone, why I continue to watch this show week after week, what was the real reason why I've stuck with this show, But either way, guys, that's really it for my thoughts on this cancellation. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think that there's still the move to freeform? Do you think there's a better option out there that I didn't talk about? Maybe Hulu, maybe Amazon. Really, there are just so many places the show could go that I really don't think this is the end. But that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys thought of both World Meets Girl and this cancellation. And I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for Underworld Rise of the Lycans. And I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.